Let's talk about routing or routing. So that's the way you can navigate on your web app, yeah? And actually that goes beyond the scope of a web app. Even if you create a native app, you know that here at Codery we're creating the native app of Codery, right? Some of you I think have been invited. So if you want to participate, let me know. But essentially as part of our native app, you can navigate as well. Yeah, I mean, can you tell me a single app where you don't navigate or where you cannot click anywhere? That's a bit weird. Yeah, you always want to interact with the apps. So that's what routing is about. So you can see, so I got my native Codery app, and then I click somewhere, and then it navigates somewhere else. Yeah, so that's not purely related to the web anymore. It goes beyond the scope of the web. So I would like to explain how React deals with routing. I think this session is particularly interesting because of two reasons. First of all, because the approach itself I think is very smart. It's something that at the first time you look at it, you may be thinking that's overcomplicated, but once you get used to it, it's super cool, super powerful. And reason number two is by the first time ever, we're going to learn how to install new packages in our app. Yeah? So historically speaking, software was about building stuff manually, writing from the first to the last line of your project. However, this is changing quickly. Imagine that you are a car manufacturer, yeah? You are BMW, you are Mercedes. You don't build all the components of your car by yourself. Yeah? So generally speaking, your main duty as a car manufacturer is to assemble, yes, to put all the components together. You don't build the tires if you are a car manufacturer, yeah? BMW, they don't build the tires, they get the tires from Goodyear, from Michelin, or from wherever, yeah? So it's about being able to assemble all these parts in a specific way. So this is what coding is about, yeah? It's not only about coding, it's also about assembling different parts. So our success as developers is not only about our ability to write code, it's our ability to choose to pick the right tools, which is not as simple as it looks. So routing used to be part of React. So when you got React, you got routing. But now it's a separate package, yeah? So we have to install it manually. So the very first thing is, look, as you can see, even though my face is partially hiding the terminal, I got my server running, yeah, with npm start. So first advice, whenever you want to install a new component, first stop the server and then install the component, yeah? If the server is running, it may work, but yeah, sometimes it doesn't work well, yeah? Because starting the server takes 30 seconds, I think it's just safer to stop it. So how can we stop the server, guys? No, that was very romantic, Bella. npm start, look. Thing is, npm, let me try npm Brexit. No? Any other idea? Did you notice that it's not about right or wrong? It's just, hey, it's ignoring me. Yeah? The thing is, when you start the server, it's busy. It's not waiting for instructions. So it doesn't matter what we type. We cannot type anything. Yeah? So then how we stop it? Well, there are two options, the aggressive and the gentleman one. So the aggressive option is just kill the window. You see that bean icon? It says kill terminal. If I click here, server is stopped, but that sounds a bit aggressive. So there is a slightly easier way, which is by sending a message to the terminal, please stop the server. You can send a message by pressing Ctrl+C. You see? If I press Ctrl+C, now the server is dead. If I try to get it to the website, it doesn't work anymore. But now, I can at least type commands, yeah? So that's the first thing, Ctrl+C, regardless of whether you are, Ctrl+C, regardless of whether you are a Windows or Mac user. Yeah, that's the same shortcut, Ctrl+C. All right, so that's the first thing. And now, all right, how do we install the package? Well, first of all, let me show you the package name. The package name is React Router DOM. I'll show you in a second. Yep. So you see, for instance, if I click on that link, the npm link, it will show me all the details, blah, blah, blah. And generally speaking, installing a component is all about repeating the same process. Look, installation, npm install, blah, 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 yeah? So we just have to copy that command and paste it into the terminal. That's the way you can add a new package into your application. Yeah? So now if I paste it, look at what happened. If you are a Windows user, this is likely to be okay. But if you're a Mac user, that may not work. That may not work. So that stack trace is sometimes a bit confusing because you're not sure whether it works fine or not. I mean, in this particular case, it doesn't look right, yeah? Look, we got the e-access problem. You see the e-access problem? Let's get rid of my face out of the screen. I'm sure you won't miss it. And then let's see what the error is about. So that will probably only happen if you are a Mac user. So e-access. In reality, we're trying to install new software in our laptop. You know, Macs sometimes are a bit special, yeah? So does anyone know how to bypass that limitation on Mac? Sudo, correct. When you add the sudo prefix, you are telling your system, hey, I know what I'm doing. So please, once I've entered my sexy password, then let me install my component. And now be careful, because once again, you may get errors. That's a bit confusing, to be honest. The process is simple. It's just super simple. But understanding whether the process works fine or not is maybe challenging. Look, still getting errors. Yeah, still getting errors. Less than before, but still getting errors. So you may be thinking, did it work or not? There is a trick. The trick is, if at the very bottom of your stack trace, you get that plus, can you see? Plus, and then the name of the component, that means, hey, regardless of what the temporary errors you may get about, it worked fine. Or you can more or less assume it worked fine. And this is what I'm going to assume now. The package got successfully installed. And now, what? Have you ever looked at the file called package.json? No. If you have a look on the left-hand side, there is a very important file called package.json. In this file is where you can specify all the dependencies of your component. And as you may have noticed, React Router DOM is now part of that file. Why is that? Imagine that you install 20 components, and then after 3 months you change your laptop. Do you have to remember all the components you manually install? Not at all. Thanks to the package.json, JavaScript knows which dependencies it needs to install the next time you change laptop. Or if you are working with a colleague, yeah? You create that and then you want to work with someone else, so that person quickly knows the dependencies that he or she has to install. All right, cool. So we got router installed, hopefully. So now let's pay attention to the syntax. The syntax is a bit, I wouldn't say it's weird, I think it's relatively okay, but probably you will have to review it or revisit the syntax a few times until you get used to it. So the very first thing is, if you remember, we can, to display an image, for instance, that was task number 1 on Coldflix. I guess everyone has done task number 1 on Coldflix at this stage of the journey. So to display an image, we needed 2 things. First of all, import it on top, and then use it, yeah, on the HTML bit. So to use a dependency like router is the same. First of all, we have to import it. So import something. We'll rename that in a minute, of course. And then we need to specify the package. The package is called from React Router DOM. You see, as soon as I start typing, VS Code is automatically listing the available packages. So that's the first thing. And now, hello.
Oh, sorry, we're a bit early for the basic. So you put it in the app.js area?
Yes. Yes. So generally speaking, that's a good point. That's a good point, Declan. So you put the routing only once in your main app.js. Yeah? So now we start with the trickiness. So what do we import? We have to import, look at the syntax, guys. You need to open curly braces. So that means that you may want to import multiple components. We will have to import multiple components, actually. And now, what do we have to import? Look at the syntax. Something called browser router. That's a bit special. I mean, don't try to find the logic. Just do it. Yeah? You have to import something called browser router. And what's that? That's an HTML tag at the end of the day. So then somewhere, Look, I can use it like that. You see? So browser router means, hey. Now, inside of browser router, I can specify all the URLs that my app will support. For instance, when I'm on slash, that will be the home page. When I'm on slash users, I will display the list of users. When I'm on slash profile, I will display the details of the user. Yeah? So we'll specify a map of URLs and then the action that React will take whenever the user lands on that URL. So, for instance, how do you specify, how do you define, how do you declare a valid URL in React? We need to import another component. So I'm on line number 2, comma, you see? And the component to declare a root is, unsurprisingly, called root. So you type root, and now we have to declare the list of routes that our app supports. How we do that? Let me show you an example. Root, and then what's the path? What's the URL? We type path, slash, that will be our homepage. Yeah? So, what happened? In our homepage, I want to render a component, a React component. Yeah? Have you done task number 7 already? Any idea what a component is in React? Can anybody tell me what a React component is? Yep. Yep, that's right. A component is a piece of user interface you can reuse. Yeah? If you go to Ryanair and you want to go on holidays, you book flights, right? Generally speaking, you take a return flight. So you get 2 calendars. That's the same component, is being reused multiple times. So that's what React is really good at. And how we create a component? Anyone can tell me the syntax about creating a component? No, I don't want to export import. I want to do it here. Function, and then, for instance, the home. Yeah. So home, it's just a JavaScript function. Yeah. And then return some HTML, right? Yeah. Open tag, close tag, like that.
Well, we have to open also the
Parentheses?
That's if you're with loads of tags.
Exactly. Declan is right. If I want to do something complicated, as we saw the last week, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, because the code becomes very simple, very readable.
for the function home, we put props in the parentheses.
No, I don't want to use props. No. Keep something super simple, guys. This is,
Just write title.
what's the title? Welcome to Vicky's portfolio. Yeah.
Let's say the portfolio wants to pay in curly brackets, and we can.
No, that's it. That's it, right?
I thought we wanted to use it in a way to declare.
Just a basic message. Yeah, I want to make sure that if I land on your homepage, you show me a message. Welcome to Vicky's portfolio. Yeah, and actually, because this is so simple, I can even get rid of the parentheses in one line. Yeah, just to keep it super simple, something like that. All right. So now look at the syntax. When we land on slash is your homepage. Which component do we want to render? Home component. That's it. Yeah? And likewise, if I render on projects, slash projects, imagine that you're building your portfolio. Yeah? Likewise, I can create a new component called, for instance, projects, right? So here is my list of projects, colon, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So imagine that we're creating 2 pages for our portfolio. All right, so now here, when we land on slash projects, then the only thing we have to do is to render the projects component. And that's pretty much it. You see, it's not that complicated, you think about. So the complexity here is to define a list of routes that your app supports. Let's see if it works, guys. Sorry, I had to start the server, right? I think it's not running at all. I killed it before. So how do we start the server? npm start. Fantastic. So npm start will hopefully start the server in a second. So just 1 second. It's still loading. Still loading. Here you go. It works, right? And that makes sense because if you probably you cannot even check the URL, but the URL is just localhost and that's it. That's the homepage. But now, if I go to slash, what's the other root? Projects, you see? So I'm going to type slash projects, even though you cannot see that. As soon as I hit enter, what will my web app display as soon as I hit enter? The same. So you mean it's not going to navigate to the project's view? It will. All right, so first of all, will it display the title, Welcome Routing? That's right. Look, that's the beautifulness of routing. Routing will dynamically change only that bit. But whatever you put outside of that bit will remain there forever. I mean, you know, I'll give you an example. When you go to the majority of the web page, including Codery, regardless of where you are, you get a header and a footer. And that doesn't change at all, regardless of where you are in the app, right? So that's the beautifulness. We can keep some part of your app static, and then you can keep some part of your app dynamic. Yeah, correct. That's correct. That's correct. Cool. So if we're in the home page, we get the title and we get the home page, right? Welcome to Vicky's portfolio. But now I'm going to slash projects. So you said yes, the title will be still there because it's outside of routing. Projects in theory will be displayed, but please tell me if you find anything suspicious. Look, that's the home page, but I press enter now. Ooh, that's true. I mean, the title is there, fine. The portfolio or the projects view is there, fine. But this guy in the middle, what's that? We were not expecting that, right? Why the home page is still displayed? No. The reason is, and that's a bit of controversial out-of-the-box behavior, but it's what it is. If you think about it, it makes sense. Why? Because when we go to slash projects, in reality, we're going to slash. So the URL includes the home page. Because the URL includes the home page, both routes are satisfied. So does slash projects includes slash? Yes. Slash projects includes the slash. So then the home page is displayed. And of course, slash projects includes slash projects. That's why both routes are picked, are taken. To me, once again, I can imagine some scenarios where this may be useful, but in reality, you want to do things much simpler than that. However, you can change the behavior by adding a very sexy attribute called, look, exact. Yeah. So when you type exact, then only if the URL literally matches what you've said here, then it will pick that route. If not, it won't pick it. So back to the home page. Welcome to Vicky's portfolio. That's good. That's all right. But now, if I go to slash projects, it should only display the title and the project's message. Here you go. Much better. Any questions?
If we have more than two, have a lot.
A lot?
So when we have to put like every single routing, right?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. So one of the beautiful aspects of routing, and I'm not going to go that far today, but at least let you know, is that in reality, we used to have a hierarchical list of routes. For instance, we may have projects, but we may also have projects / conflicts. And you may want, whenever a user lands on that URL, to display not just your list of projects, but your details about how you implemented Codeflix. And you may also want to have projects / portfolio, or projects / whatever. Yeah? You may want to have multiple routes. So one of the beautiful things is we can save these routes somewhere else, or even here. So there's a lot of flexibility, yeah, on that. Once again, that goes a bit beyond the scope of this session. I'm not going to explain how to do that. But if that ever happens, eventually that will be very useful. Otherwise, you will have 200 routes here, and that will be a bit hard to maintain. All right, as part of Codeflix, you will see more advanced usage. So for instance, what happens if the user types a wrong URL? Imagine that I want to go, instead of /project, to /skills. What do you think will happen? What will that display? I'm typing skills on the URL. Say again? 404? 404?
It doesn't exist, right?
You're right. It doesn't exist, but look. Why? Well, because we still got content outside of routing. It will be always there, but then you say, all right, what's the URL? /skills. Is it here? No. There? No. It's like React says, I don't really know what do you want to display, so I will display nothing. It doesn't throw an error, it doesn't do anything, yeah? It's just nothing. As part of Codeflix, you will see how to redirect the user to a not found page, like sorry, the content is unavailable. Yeah, I think that's number 16, 15, something like that. Yeah? Cool. Yeah, so, and you will also see how to create dynamic URLs. At the moment, you got homepage and projects, but if you're creating a movie database, you want to have Breaking Bad or The Witcher or, you know, Lord of the Rings. You don't want to map each URL here, so you want to have some sort of pattern. If the URL is like that, look, then display the details of that movie. Yeah? So you can specify patterns. Once again, I'm not going to explain that now. This is literally task number 9, 10, 11, Codeflix. You will find out. Yeah? So this is just an intro to routing. So, any questions? No? So, I mean, from my side, that's pretty much it. There is only one thing that Esteban is going to explain now. Even though routing works fine, if you want to get a job, you're probably not going to tell the recruiter, yeah, that's my homepage, fantastic. Now, if you want to go to my projects, you have to change the URL manually and type /projects. That's not the way a website works, right? Generally speaking, you have a button or a link somewhere. When the user clicks on that link, then we redirect him or her to the appropriate URL. Yeah. So now Esteban is going to explain how to add a link in React. Yeah. You want to sit here?
Okay, so first of all, we have to import a new component from React router DOM that is called link. And here it is. And then what we want to do is when we land on home, we want to link to projects, for instance. Just a second. So, does anyone knows how to use that component? This component here? Sorry? Another tag, yes, like link. So we just write link, and then we put the text inside. So it would be my projects, for instance. My projects. And then we need to tell React where to link. And we just write to. And, oh, sorry, not this. And what was the route to projects? Can you see it? I'm sorry. Yes, slash projects, even though you can see it. So, slash projects. Okay, so.
So now we came across a very interesting situation. If you notice the component, can you see on line number 9? Yeah, there is something wrong there.
Yes.
Look. Can you hover, please? Can you hover the error?
Yes.
JSON expression must have one parent element. Does anyone know what that error is about?
Oh, is it?
What's wrong with the div?
Not doing a div.
So yes, when you create a React component, you always need one root element. How many root elements do we have here? Two. That's right. That's not valid in React. So we need to wrap them into another div. Exactly.
So, yeah.
And now, another question. So from an indentation point of view, would you get any penalty if you do literally that? Is that right or wrong? Correct. We need to move things a bit to the right, right?
Mhm.
8 and 9.
Correct. I agree. 8 and 9. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay, so now we are going to check. Would this work? Okay. Wait a
You need to
second.
go back home because that's the project space, right?
Oh, yes, true.
So you need to just go back home.
Yes. Right.
Store 3005.
Okay, so here it is the link. We click it and we are now rendering the project. But now, if we want to return home and we don't want to make the user to click back or click on projects, we have to create another link. So, where should I create that link? Can someone tell me?
Create a new text.
I need,
We need to credit the solicitor projects.
so yes, exactly. So before we need to have a link tag, and then a wrapping div. Oops, sorry. And okay, what should I put to create the link now? Link, yes. Link. What else? To slash. Okay. Home. Okay. This should work. Yes, we're going to check. So home and my project. So now we can go back and forth.
Would you use CSS to install those functions like position for everyone?
Yes, yes. So basically, like we could create like a class
Yeah.
and we style the class.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, even though we're using the link tag, this is transformed into HTML. So how do you get a link in HTML? A tag. So at running time, well, you can see that.
Yes.
if we open DevTools,
We have a tax. Yes.
if I zoom it a bit, not a bit, if I zoom it quite a lot, eventually, can you see? That's an A tag. So you can style it, you can change color, whatever you want.
But you can also create a class.
So you can have a class.
Okay. On the link.
This might be a bit complicated, but how would you make your movies into a class?
Ah, that you'll find out.
Okay.
That's part of task number 8 or 9 or something.
Okay.
Is this part where you can direct to, so if you want to have like new links, on those new links, you have to create new JS files to read on those links. Is it like this? Or is it more simple?
I don't really. So a JS.
You put like all the links.
Uh-huh.
And then you have to take them back. Will they follow the same CSS code or also like they have to have different?
So what do you mean when you have to take them back?
Because the links will be connected to the links, right? So you have. It's like outline.
Oh, are you saying
Like
that
in
if
the
you put all your links in separate components? Because in the hint that you gave, you said put everything into the details.
So what we tell you on that task is, all right, at some point you have a list of movies or TV shows. So it will be much more convenient, rather than having all your movies here hard-coded in your app, create a new component called, I don't know, gallery maybe, and details, right, something like that. So then, when the user is on the slash, display the gallery. Yeah, that will be the home page with your TV shows. And when the user lands on details, then display the details component. And now, on the gallery, for instance, how do we display the links? Well, you'll find out, but essentially following what Esteban explained, it will probably be something like that. Yeah, you have a link, sorry, you have an image, and the image is surrounded by a link. So when you click on the image, it will go somewhere.
And then I guess you can start that by importing your CSS into
For instance, absolutely, yeah. Don't forget, guys, that at the end of the day, here we are just using HTML. So you can style it, as Esteban said, just creating a class or whatever you want. Anything else for Esteban? Was that easy, hard?
Makes sense.
Could you do the same with external links as well?
External link,
Because it's not dynamic.
It's a good question. No, you can't. Link only works with internal links. If you want to go to Google or to a porn website, you cannot use link. You need to use an HTML tag. That's it. Thank you, guys.